The Bank of Canada's Deputy Governor raised alarm bells about Canada's low level of productivity in a speech yesterday.
And given how nimble our companies were, we thought productivity would improve coming out of the pandemic as firms found their footing and employees got trained back up. We did see that happen in the US, but it hasn't happened here in Canada. In fact, the level of productivity in Canada's business sector is more or less unchanged from where it was 7 years ago.
But why do we need, as Canadians, alarm bells rang about this? Why is this not a more topical issue already on the minds of Canadians and the public dialogue of Canada? Canada has a serious productivity problem. This is an irrefutable fact. As the Deputy General just mentioned, the Americans were able to recover from the pandemic at a much stronger rate than we have. But this economic stagnation has been going on for years. In fact, here's a side-by-side chart of GDP per capita comparing USA and Canada. Notice how USA and Canada used to actually be a lot closer many decades ago. There are similarities between America and Canada. Both countries have historically benefited greatly from having a strong rule of law, a safe society, and this safe society is in part due to our advantageous position as we are separated from many potential enemies by large oceans on all sides. And for the most part, Canada and America have also both had a thriving free market. Sure, America has always embraced capitalism a bit more than we have, but we are not really that different from the United States in this regard. There are certainly more, at least, similarities than there are differences. So why has Canada recently fallen so far behind America with regard to economic growth? There are a number of reasons one could argue for this. Canada went into a deeper lockdown during the pandemic, for one. There are more remote workers who are skilled who would choose America versus Canada because of Canada's harsh climate. And USA, and this is probably the most important one, at least in the last few years, they have Silicon Valley. And Silicon Valley has driven innovation and information technology, which has been a massive sector for growth. But whatever the reason or reasons is, it is clear that Canada has fallen behind our neighbors to the south. But in my opinion, aside from Canada's productivity problem, we also have, and this would be actually potentially easier to fix, a priorities problem. America cares deeply and understands how important a thriving economy is for their citizens and for America's position in the world.
Our economy is literally the envy of the world. 15 million new jobs in just 3 years, a record.
Today, I'm proud to declare that the United States is in the midst of an economic boom, the likes of which the world has never seen before.
But in Canada, it doesn't appear like we care about this as much. Our national discourse is so focused around climate change and social issues.
We're dealing with insecurity caused by armed conflicts and climate change. So today, I'm announcing that Canada is investing $8.4 million on research across the global south to better understand how climate change interacts with democratic decline.
And you could say, oh, the media and the federal government, they don't need to be talking about economic growth all the time. Don't look to them for that. Look to the private sector. Or if you really want economic data, turn on a business news channel like BNN. But to this I would say, bullshit. Whether you like it or not, all economies in the world today are mixed to a large degree, as in the government has a big role to play. Yes, we should not look to the government to solve all of our problems, of course, but the government and the media are there, supposedly, to help the country and represent the citizens of that country. The constant discussion around social issues and climate change has to not be such a major priority in all of discussions with regard to Canada. Let's get back to what matters most, the economy. A strong economy solves so many problems. Canada's economic growth is hardly even in the public consciousness right now. Sadly, I bet this warning from the Deputy Governor will fall on deaf ears. And our government and media will go right back to shouting at each other about climate change, foreign aid, or some other social issue. And even when Canada speaks about issues relating to the economy, we don't even use the word productivity anymore. It's like Canada just given up on this. The buzzword is affordability. But affordability, it's only really referring to one half of the equation, the cost of stuff.
Huge pressures around affordability. And that's why we have stepped up.
Canada needs to get its economic engine going again, and quickly. And I think a first step of that is admitting we have our priorities mixed up. Even when the economy is discussed at national level, it is done so through the filter of a green economy.
Whereas the investments we're making in growing the economy, creating great jobs for the middle class in areas of innovation and greener technology is very, very exciting. You know, we worked with them, 8 years ago to reverse a government that didn't do anything on climate change.
Look, people need to start saying this more, and I know I don't speak for everybody, but we don't care, okay? Enough with the green economy. Just economy. We know you want a virtue signal, and it's not just Trudeau, but it is him. But stop. Economic growth. More goods and services. Not more goods and services that go through the filter of is it good for the environment? More goods and services that have demand in the free market. Back to basics. 47% of Canadians live paycheck to paycheck. The average cost of a home is over $720,000 in this country. Which, by the way, for the average worker who's not able to get financial aid from a relative to buy a home, that number might as well be $50 million. Might as well just call the average price of a home in Canada, it's never going to happen. So what are we doing as a country? Why are we arguing about climate change every day? As a Canadian, it's actually so infuriating. If you care so much about climate change, go work for a company like Tesla that is working to combat it. Or start a company whose mission is clean energy. But to the politicians and media who are legitimately obsessed with this issue, stop making it into Canada's sole purpose in life. Average Canadians, and again, I know I don't speak for everyone, but why should the average Canadian care about this? It's not up to you to tell people what they should care about. I can understand if a Canadian who has already paid off a home, has children that are well taken care of, and has a pension or a nest egg that offers them financial security, sure, that person can choose whatever social issues or problems in the world they want to work on. But the rest of us need a government and a media to actually represent and discuss and debate things that impact our lives, and our lives right now, not in the future, which, by the way, you absolutely cannot predict with certainty. With regard to climate change or anything else, Canada needs a priority shift right now. Again, average home, $720,000, and our economy is essentially flat. Not only are homes here much more expensive than they are in the US, but our economy is also doing much worse. This should be the main story in the news, the Canadian House of Commons, every single day. How are we going to grow our economy, which will boost incomes, get more money to Canadians, not just give them money that you're taking from other taxpayers, give it through economic growth, and how are we going to build more homes? And enough of the green economy, just economic growth. I've made this point before, but do people in Canada even know that Shopify, market cap $100 billion US, is a Canadian company founded in just 2006? Why can't the media and the House of Commons talk about companies like this more? How do we create more Shopifys? Have robust debates in the House of Commons about that. What economic policy or incentives will encourage more success stories in Canada such as this? But this probably won't happen. Canada will sadly go right back to obsessing over climate change, foreign policy, or social issues. And more average Canadians will see their dream of owning a home and achieving financial freedom continue to drift further out of reach. Some of these people will sadly end up homeless. And then in another 6 months or so, some other prominent person will come on television or the internet and bring up how Canada is still not growing, nothing is getting better, and our entire economic system is even more fragile than it was before. So I don't know. I really hope that this time it's different and we actually focus on economic growth. But we'll see. With that said, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thank you for watching. Have a good day and consider liking the video.